Good afternoon, everybody. This is Viveka from the Nourished Caveman and the Healing Foods Method. If you don't know me, I am a keto nutritionist that specializes in female hormones, thyroid, adrenal, sex hormones, you name it, all of them. And I'm also a cookbook author, and I have a long distance practice in nutrition where I work mainly with the ketogenic diet and with women. That doesn't mean I don't work with men, but I specialize in women. So welcome to today's live video, and I am finally back in my office. As you can see from better reception, a decent background. I'm sweaty. It's 100 degrees in Ojai, California today. So it was hot in Colombia, but it's hotter here, and it's nice to be back home for a minute and like be back in the United States, back in the comforts of my office. So welcome for those of you who are watching. I don't know if it's the first time or you're return watchers. Please feel free to chime in and say hi and tell me where you're watching from, and is this the first time that you're joining me. Today we have a super hot topic, not just because of the heat, but because of the hot flashes. Well, we're going to talk about menopause and menopausal symptoms. I guess you can call that a hot topic. And hopefully some of you from my Instagram group, we're calling it the tribe. Sorry, I got a little bit of a stuffy nose today because I was in a freezing cold plane last night coming back from Miami, and I think that it gave me a little bit of nasal congestion. The air conditioning was blasting, and it was really cold, and I put all the clothes on that I could put on, and not great. I hope I don't get sick. We'll see how good my immune system is doing. So while you join in, and thank you for watching, thank you for joining me today. Please let me know if this is the first time that you join me here live, and where you're coming from, where you're watching from, so that this makes it a lot more fun when I know who I'm talking to. And I want to have this as a conversation. I have a lot to talk to you about, and actually I made some notes which I forgot on the table, but I want to talk to you about certain things that are not so commonly addressed when we talk menopause and menopausal symptoms. Let me grab my notes because I have a lot to cover again today. And here we go. Hey Tammy, good afternoon. Where are you watching us from? So yes, I needed to make notes because there was a lot of stuff that I want to cover, and so I don't forget anything, as this is a live video, and then I tend to go all over the place and, you know, answer questions and lose my train of thought. Cottonwood, California, is it as hot there as it is here? Here is like 100 degrees, and I didn't put on the air conditioning because after last night and getting a stuffy nose in the plane, I definitely want to stay with the natural warmth. But anyways, thank you for watching, Tammy. And yeah, I also am a little jet lagged, so forgive me if today I'm not as smoothly delivering the content as usual, but it was a long day of traveling yesterday. That's why I moved the Facebook Live to today. We see if as many people can join in today as usual. But let's just jump in, you guys, because like I want to start giving you the good stuff, the good information. So the first thing that it's 100 plus, yeah, here is also 100 degrees, as you can see from my sweaty face. So let's talk about the first thing I want to cover is less known menopausal symptoms, because we just talked about hot flashes. You know, this looked like a hot flash. We talked about heating up in menopause, or having the usual symptoms that everybody thinks about, like emotional distress, night sweats, hot flashes. Those are the most common things. But what about what we do not usually know it's a menopausal symptom? For example, cold hands and feet. when we usually talk about cold hands and feet, we think about thyroid. And there are a lot of people that experience that. Even in summer, on days like today, you're hot, you're sweating, and your feet are freezing. Your hands are freezing. If you go and Google that, cold extremities, you will find that is a thyroid symptom. But what people don't know is that it can be an early symptom of menopause. So for you perimenopausal ladies that are watching this, if you are experiencing cold feet, cold hands, this could be both a symptom of hypothyroid or symptoms that your ovaries are starting to switch into menopausal mode. At any rate, you should not be having that symptom. It's something that needs to be addressed, and it's just another thing that is like a little warning flag. When we talk about symptoms from a functional nutrition, a functional medicine perspective, what do symptoms tell us? We have an approach that a lot of times is called subclinical. That means that if you go to a regular MD, it will not be able to either diagnose from your labs or really put together your symptoms into something that it puts into a diagnosis. But if you go to a practitioner that's functional, so either a functional MD or a nutritionist like me, we can look at, for example, thyroid numbers. And if the thyroid numbers are, inside functional parameters, what that means is that you are in a healthy state of, it's a healthy state of functioning of your gland. But when they're outside of functional parameters, and maybe they're inside medical parameters, what it means is that we can predict disease further down the line. Sorry, my throat is really not great today. So that's the difference between normal parameters and labs and the functional interpretation. So when you have cold hands and feet, it might not mean anything to a doctor, but to somebody like me, it will mean there is something there that is developing. And maybe your labs or your hormone, your hormone test that you did, if it's interpreted by a doctor, is normal. But I am sure that you would have some values that will be indicating that something is developing. So what does that mean in practice? It means if you're perimenopausal, once you approach menopause and you're not in the healthy range of functional, you will start developing symptoms, and the symptoms will possibly be, really debilitating. I have a lot of clients. I have a recent patient that started my course about a couple of months ago, and she came to me because she had been following me for a long time. She's been doing keto and then keto paleo and doing everything good, cleaning up her diet, but her hot flashes were literally debilitating, 6 to 10 hot flashes a night, and constantly waking up with palpitations. I don't know if any of you who's watching has ever experienced that as a symptom. It's really not fun. And also hot flashes constantly during the day. Those, for me, are debilitating symptoms that really impact your quality of life. So this is what we talk about when we talk about menopausal symptom. Another symptom that is not often talked about is sensitivity to light and noise. Imagine yourself at 50, 55, 45, and imagine having to go to a club, where the lights are flashing, the music is really loud. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, that was your version of a really fun night. And think about it now, if you're starting menopause or in menopause, maybe that's not your ideal way to spend a Saturday night. And that's because we become way more sensitive to noise and light as we turn menopausal. When that becomes extreme, an extreme sensitivity to light and noise, that ends up being in the dysfunctional range, and then we know that something is not right there. Another very big, very important symptom, hey Elisa, thank you for watching, hi. Another big symptom, in big importance, is losing the ability to adapt to stress. And this is very kind of like a multifold symptom because it has roots not only in the changing of your female hormones, but also in the changing of the role of your adrenals, which we're going to talk about in a second. Now, the adrenals have a really terrifically sweaty, you guys. I am literally dripping here, and like, I don't want to turn on the AC, but thank you, Lisa. So, adrenals are one of the big players, role players in the menopausal game, and we definitely are going to talk about it in a second as we get into the second part, the second point I want to address, which is how to eliminate symptoms naturally. There was, another thing, and I want to start giving you these like little tidbits of information that you might not find everywhere else, and something, did you know before that emotional symptoms are the first kind of symptoms that will tell you you're starting perimenopause. So it might not be skipping periods or irregular period, it might not be a hot flash, but it will be emotional. So that's how it all starts. So something to look out for, to know that if you start being very emotional or having emotional up and downs, you might need to look at your hormones and not just get on Prozac or any other antidepressant like doctors do very often these days. I have a lot of clients that are coming to me on antidepressants, and it breaks my heart because many times it's not necessary. I'm not saying it's not needed, but there is discrimination and discernment. We need to give medication when it's really needed. And by the way, I know there are some of you watching out there that haven't chimed in or haven't commented, so please tell me where you're watching from. I'm in California, and is this the first time you're joining me? Let me know and ask me questions. This is the chance so that I can answer your questions so you can learn more. So let's talk about how to eliminate the symptoms naturally. Naturally, for me, means with nutrition. You know, it means not adding medication. It means not interfering with the natural processes of the body. It also means finding, hey, Shannon, how are you? Good to see you. Minnesota. Hey, guess what? I'm going to be in Minnesota at the end of August. What part are you? I'm going with my boyfriend to visit his family. That's where they're from. So I'm excited. Maybe I'll be close to you. So, addressing symptoms in a way that is natural, in alignment with the natural processes of your body. And that means not interfering artificially with chemicals or procedures, which, you know, hey Cher, hi Colorado, that looks nice. Hi Michelle from Boston, thank you for watching. Hope this information is good for you guys. Please feel free to comment on that. And also, if you know you want me to talk about something specific, otherwise I just keep blabbering over here, but I very much prefer a conversation. So nutrition means I don't really believe in hysterectomies unless they're really necessary. I don't believe in putting women on the pill unless it's really necessary, which I really don't think the pill is like something that is as necessary as a lot of doctors might think. So how do we eliminate the symptoms? Let's talk, for example, about the cold extremities, or let's talk about the hot flashes, or it could be both. Or a big one that I see from a lot of clients is disrupted sleep. You can't sleep. And it's not just the hot flashes. You just like wake up 3, 4, 5 times a night. Why does that happen? This is part of your hormonal balance, and how, the sex hormones, progesterone and estrogen, and the decline in production is affecting your whole body. It affects your brain, and this is one of the main reasons that symptoms appear, is that the hormone production drops, and then all of a sudden your brain pretty much goes into withdrawal, and your cell receptors go into withdrawal, so you become symptomatic. So we need to support different systems in the body, first of all. Like, how many of you, please do answer that for me, please, please, please. How many of you associate hot flashes with the liver? Have you ever heard anybody out there talking about menopause that made this connection between hot flashes and the liver? Have you ever heard anybody associating night sweats with your adrenals and telling you there is a very direct, immediate connection between your night sweats and your adrenals? Please, somebody answer. Let me know you're watching. I'm sorry, again, clearing my throat. There is a very real connection. So when we want to eliminate the symptoms in a natural way, what, only from me, interesting, really? Wow, thank you, Shannon. I actually did hear it from other people, not a lot, but definitely from the functional endocrinology practitioners and my mentor. I did hear it. And also I think there are a couple of people that are there in the social media, pretty big, they did mention that, but not quite as directly. Thank you, ladies. Finally, you guys pitched in. Yay, I'm so happy. Thank you. Well, so let's talk about it. Even, we can't go super deep into it, but why do hot flashes happen? And a very direct correlation is to the liver, because as your hormones are, levels are dropping, a lot of times what will happen is that you become progesterone deficient much earlier that you start lowering the estrogen, and that makes you immediately estrogen dominant. That means that the liver has to just kind of work extra hard to maintain that balance. As the production of estrogen also switches to the adrenals versus being produced in the ovaries and in your adipose cells like before, and there is another big hint here, but your liver is the great regulator of all your hormones, because the hormones get filtered through the liver and then they get recycled or they get eliminated so that your body maintains this homeostasis. What happens when your liver is congested? What happens if your bile gets thick? And what happens when your liver is not able to process out hormones in a very efficient way? It will start backing them up and bouncing them back. And also, there is another of those famous catch-22s that I always talk about, you guys, or you ladies, is that the estrogen thickens the bile. So the higher the estrogen is in ratio to progesterone, the thicker that... Hi, Sandy. No, I don't know about smart. Book smart, baby? So estrogen thickens your bile. So the thicker the bile gets, the harder it is for your liver to actually process and detox, because, you know, the bile is a big component of that detox factor, as it will have all these different functions. A big one is eliminating, and another one is the pH. Let's not sidetrack here. I'm like master sidetracker, Viveka. But so liver and estrogen and liver and hormones, so it directly relate to the ability of the body to distribute the hormones in the right way. So what happens when you are having hot flashes and you start detoxing those hormones out, and you start, you know, we'll talk about supplementation on the third part of the video, but at least before we start bringing in what we need, which is usually progesterone, and later in menopause it's also estrogen, we need to make sure that we clean out the imbalances. So we clean out the liver. So supporting the liver, and I know Sandy was a patient of mine, and now she's a practitioner in her own right. Congratulations. But she knows that I talked about that endlessly, about the importance of the liver, and I'm sure she can add a thing or two now. She's in her own practice and dealing with her own clients and her own experience as well. But yeah, it's so important. So if we want to eliminate those hot flashes, the first place to look is in the liver. Because when we are adding things on top, and we'll talk about bioidenticals, as this is the big talk of today when it comes to menopause, I think 9 out of 10 of my clients come to me having been or being on some sort of hormone replacement therapy. So I want to address like yes, no, why we do it, why we don't want to do it. But before we might even consider adding in a hormone, we need to make sure that all the hormonal pathways are actually working and the detox pathways are working and able to eliminate what we don't need in the body. The other part is adrenal, so adrenals and night sweats. Now, I am not going to go into the, whole physiological correlations, but I just want to make clear to you the importance of the adrenals when we turn into menopause. Because did you know that estrogen is mainly converted and produced in the adrenal cortex, and that when the ovaries stop producing in menopause, and then when the ovaries stop producing estrogens, the adrenal cortex become the #1 place where healthy estrogens for menopause are made. And by the way, did you guys know that we still do need very much estrogen in menopause? It's just a different kind of estrogen that we use from the cycling years. So when your adrenals are already overwhelmed and stressed, and they're tending towards adrenal exhaustion or adrenal dysfunction, and you've been coming on for years in that way, and then suddenly your ovaries basically stop working, retire, move to Florida, the adrenals have to take over the job of the estrogen production. So this is one of the reasons why it's so important for the adrenals to be supported. And when a symptom of the adrenal dysfunction or underfunction is night sweats. And I've seen it over and over that once I start doing some very direct and kind of aggressive adrenal support for perimenopausal and menopausal women, they go away like that. Seriously, night sweats can go away in about a week to 2 weeks of proper treatment and, adrenal reboosting and revitalizing, and they just go away. And sometimes the hot flashes go away first, sometimes the night sweats go away first. And again, you guys remember that here I'm talking about natural solution, how to eliminate your symptoms naturally. That doesn't mean that it's an easy, quick fix. Mostly it doesn't mean that you just take a pill and it's gone. Most of the times, to do it naturally without serious chemical overriding of the body's function, there is a lot of cleaning and supporting that needs to happen. Because if you have symptoms, that means that your body is probably toxic and malnourished and, needs to be rebuilt to the place where we are strong and we are functioning. So, a quick tip, okay, so this is kind of quick and easy compared to supporting adrenal and liver, and also thyroid, by the way, because the thyroid is always involved in our hormonal balance. But something that you really need to pay attention to and need to do ASAP when you start having any menopausal symptom is do eliminate gluten and dairy from your life. That is the first thing to do. And I know that most likely all of you who are watching are keto or keto paleo, so you're already there. But a lot of people, a lot of ladies, still love their whipped cream or heavy whipping cream in their tea or in their coffee, still love their coffee. And they kind of don't want to let go of those things, but then you're experiencing symptoms. So there needs to be a point where you're like, if you want to deal with this, I know, Shannon, but you know what? Ask Sandy. I think Sandy actually and I had some serious conversations about letting go of coffee and some serious head-butting at the beginning, even though she did great off of coffee after a short period of time. But yeah, letting go of the caffeine, letting go of the dairy, and letting go of the gluten, that means pretty scrupulously, can't speak English today, but being pretty careful with not getting contaminated with gluten and, until to use Sandy until you are symptomatic. And I am a big testament of that. My body is very clean at this point. Maybe not today, because after this vacation in Colombia, you guys, I did all the bad things. It was absolutely impossible to eat keto there. And it was sometimes impossible to eat like gluten-free or grain-free. There was just nothing to eat. I did pretty good for the first week. We ate at home, but once we went traveling, it all went out the window. And guess what? Hot flashes came back because I ate gluten and I ate sugar. And I don't know if you guys saw my post, but I had ice cream, so I did have dairy. And yes, I was really bad, and this is my public confession. I was like, oh, what the heck, I'm on vacation, and this is, just for a week, and how bad can it be? I've been clean for a long time. So yeah, within a week, I threw out my back, and that's most likely because of the sugar. And I had eaten these things called arepas that is basically the main thing they eat in Colombia, and it's corn, and sometimes it's fried in very rancid oils. That made my inflammation go up immediately, and like I tried to lift a kayak and went crunch, and in the middle of the lake I was flat on my belly on top of this kayak, not able to move. And I basically had to crawl back into the kayak with my friend helping me, and I don't know how, paddled back, and then spent 2 days on ibuprofen flat on my back. My back got better, but then I got glutened again, and then the hot flashes came back. So it's pretty important to stay clean when you're first starting. Let me see. I know there are some questions. So all cheese, yes. All milk products. When I talk about dairy, for me, it's milk products. So anything that comes out of a cow, a sheep, or a goat at the beginning, eventually most people are able to tolerate sheep and goat dairy, but the cow dairy, it really does a number, and like it definitely makes all the symptoms come back. I'm gonna scroll down here. Cheese, couple of times a week. Yeah, Tammy, if you are having symptoms, and I don't know if you do have symptoms, let me try to see. No cream in coffee, no gluten, but if you have any of the symptoms that I mentioned, then I really think it's worth cutting the cheese. Not cutting the cheese, but cutting the cheese. I wish. I love cheese. Ladies, I love cheese. I'm Italian. I was raised on gorgonzola and mozzarella and parmigiano reggiano, the best cheeses in the world. I miss them, but I know that past the age of 45, cheese just didn't do it for me anymore. It got bad. So, no caffeine, no alcohol, no gluten, no dairy, no grains, very little sugar. Super dark chocolate is not the worst unless you are Michelle Kelly. That's who I'm talking to. You might be affected by theobromine. Have you guys heard of theobromine? I think it's the right way to pronounce it, or like it's theobromine? Theobromine. It's Italians. What can you do? So it's a component, like it's almost like a caffeine. It's a component of coffee, chocolate, and tea. And some people are very sensitive to it. So when I do, and you're like, how do you know? I do muscle testing, and I have a test kit. I will show you my test kit one day, not today, because I'm already like behind in this, and I still have to cover the Bioidenticals, but I test for it. And Michelle, in your case, I would say you're a perfect example because you are eating pretty good and you're still symptomatic. So my questions to you are, have you detoxed your liver? Have you supported your adrenals? Have you looked at your thyroid numbers? And, are you taking bioidenticals? Is my next question. Because bioidenticals, which is what I really also want to talk about, ladies, is like is considered a quick fix, like is considered a save everybody. But so many patients come to me and they are on bioidenticals and they are symptomatic. So it's not necessarily a given that you take the bioidenticals and then you're going to like be asymptomatic. Shannon, will it take long for you to detox at this point? A good detox for me is like 3 weeks, and it's, you know, I have a lot of sympathy for my patients because there is that thing called life. Have you ever heard of that thing called life, where you really want to do something and then all kinds of stuff happens and it's thrown at you and you're just like, I was supposed to detox. What happened to that? So I will probably not have time to do a full detox like I want to do for another at least week or two. I am going to travel again. I'm about to move to Northern California, ladies, and I will probably move in September. It's going to be cray-cray, more cray-cray than usually. So I'm going up there and I'm going to have surveillance meeting like of the house. I'm moving in with my boyfriend, so I need to get the house ready for me to move in. Then I will think about detoxing. But Shannon, what I've done is I went back to eating my way. So I went to the store this morning. I got myself some nice ground beef and some black olives. I'm gonna make myself dinner, some ground beef patties, and then for tomorrow I have to drive 9 hours. It's gonna be meat only and some black olives. And then I have started taking some supplements back on the liver support. I was on liver support the whole way, by the way, but my support goes up and down depending on the need and of the crappy stuff that I managed to insert into my mouth. So I do take supplementation continuously, and sometimes it's time to turn up the heat. Also, when I detox, I take certain supplements. I do coffee enemas. I do a very strict diet. Usually at this point, I do pure carnivore. And I need a minute to be able to do all of that without driving, traveling, and all of this. So I would say 3 weeks, it's a good detox. Takes care of it. You'll cut the cheese. It's worth trying. And oh, hi Angela. I am gonna move to Mount Shasta. So yeah, north of California. Let's talk about bioidentical and bioidenticals. And thank you guys for sticking with me. I, hope I'm not rabbit holing and squirreling all over the place. That's why I have a little map here so that I try to stick to the topic. Please continue asking me questions because I love your questions, and that's what I'm here for, to bring you this information that applies to you watching and not just to any and everybody. So, bioidenticals. If you are very symptomatic or you get a hormone test from a nurse or a medical doctor or a gynecologist, and then, oh really, Tammy? Oh, that's awesome. I might have to collide with you at some point and have some keto chat or keto meal. And by the way, special preview announcement. Okay, some people watching, but I want to announce this is really exciting. Within the next 6 months, I am going to have a room at the house with my boyfriend where we're going to live, to have patients come and stay and do a full immersion with me for like a weekend or a week. I want to start doing in-person consultations and retreats, and my program is called the Healing Foods Method. I do it all long distance, but from now on I'm going to have a place where people can actually come and stay for as long as they want, but I might create a little program around that, when you can come and be with me in person and be fed and taken care of for 3 days to a week and do the Healing Foods Method in practice. Possibly some heavy detoxing, so for people that are afraid of detoxing by themselves, they can come and have all the hand holding and also different treatments, and we're really coming together. My boyfriend is also a healer, so that we can combine forces and give some really good support, and I think it's going to be really fun. because Shasta is beautiful, and then there are all these activities that can be done that are part of the healing, part of the work that I do with nutrition. But end of the parenthesis there. This is coming up, and I'm really excited about it. So let's talk about this bioidentical. The doctors, they'll do, they look at your hormones, they look at your symptoms, and they'll be like, here's some progesterone, and take this cream, go home, stop bugging me. So they will give you, most likely, the first thing that is given to a perimenopausal woman is when your progesterone starts dropping, you get a cream. You can actually buy a cream on the internet without even going to a doctor. So if you go on Amazon, there are a ton of progesterone and estrogen even creams that you can buy yourself. It's a little sketchy, it's a little dangerous, because this is an easy way to A, overdose yourself with hormones, and B, continue the imbalance of your hormonal profile, like putting a little band-aid there, but then making things much worse because you are not addressing the causes of your symptoms. You're just bandaging. So when are bioidenticals actually appropriate? In my book, there are people who could probably benefit from taking some hormone replacement at some point as a transition, but it's when you have done all the preliminary work. So you have looked at your liver and your adrenals and your ovaries and your thyroid, and everything is pretty good there, and you have done the cleaning and the support, and then you're still symptomatic. And that happens to about 5% of my clients, that after we do all the work and we address everything, we look at all the numbers, we look at all the things, we do detoxing, we eliminate the foods, and then after about 3-4 months they're still symptomatic, then I would say sorry guys, I'm getting messages here. It could be, and you are really symptomatic, like debilitating symptoms, not just a little occasional hot flash or, a little mood swing, but the symptoms are serious. So your hot flashes are bad, they're not going away. You have tried also herbal solutions before, because there are some really powerful herbal tonics that you can take that for me are a better idea instead of just jumping straight to the bioidentical, because what the herbs do, they stimulate your natural production of hormones in the body. So they kind of like massage your glands and massage your hypothalamus so that it doesn't get into this withdrawal, and they massage your adrenals so that they can function good, and you get into your natural ability to produce the hormones. So that for me is the first thing to try. If nothing else has worked, I would say, okay, the bioidenticals will help you, and you can use them as an in-between, like as a bridge, until the hormonal, the full hormonal picture stabilizes again. So, and I would not probably do it by myself. I would go see a practitioner, of course, ideally. If you are doing a bioidentical by yourself, in case you have one of those creams, be careful. Use it with moderation, use it with caution, use it, don't just like slather it on all over your body, because you can become hormone resistant when your receptors are flooded. We see this a lot when you do saliva tests. People that have been using creams, especially progesterone creams, their numbers are in the 10,000s, and they're way off the charts. We can't even measure what their numbers are, because it's so easy to overdose when you use a cream consistently. It builds up. So your body doesn't have, especially if you haven't helped your liver and your liver is not detoxing the hormones properly, it builds up very easily. And then it also stores in the tissues, so that it keeps building up and you're never going to be able to detox it out. Hi Marshandra, so good to see you here. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for my patients and previous patients to be watching and supporting. It's so lovely to see you guys here, and so lovely to continue these conversations as we continue to work together, and past years, and continuing to always refine your health and get better. And hi Monica, so good for you to watch for a second. I know you're so busy. Okay, I think I covered everything. Sorry for being a little empty, fuzzy-headed today, jet-lagged, and only having like 5 hours of sleep last night. But any other questions for me about bioidentical symptoms, anything else about menopause that you want to ask me if you're watching right now? Would love to answer the questions for you. I know it takes a second for the questions to pop up after you post them, so right now would be a good moment to post them. If you are watching these videos on the replay, you can still ask your questions. You can email them to me at vivica@thenourishedcaveman.com. This is my office email that you can reach me at, so I always answer personally to my emails, unless it's Cynthia, my office manager. Hey Renee, hi, good to see you. Renee is a faithful participant of the live videos. Thank you, Renee, for coming again. So you can email me, you can post under the video, be it on Facebook on the replay or on YouTube. You can also comment. If I don't reply to your comment within a day or two, it's because somehow I missed it. So please do email me. That I don't miss, because the comments, sometimes the notifications don't come through. So you can also follow me on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of Instagram like stories, so you can see about my daily life, what I eat, what I'm doing, the mischief I'm up to. I also share about my practice and the work that I do with my clients there. And as well as on Facebook, I post a lot of recipes on the Facebook page where you are right now. And I have 2 Facebook groups. I have Keto Paleo for women, for you ladies, if you're interested in there. And please be active in the group as much as you want. Ask questions. Again, I do get the posts. So if you ask questions in the group, I definitely get it. And the other group is the Nourished Caveman private discussion group. So that is more for the gentlemen as well as the ladies, so everybody can join that one. Thank you so much for joining me here today. My sweaty, fuzzy face and and sore throat, and back from Colombia. But next week, I want to announce next week's topic here, special preview. But we will be back on Thursday. And by the way, if you guys prefer Friday, let me know, because I might be able to change the day. But usually I try to stop working by 2 o'clock on Friday and have a couple of days off. But next week we'll talk about cutting carbs and energy. So carbs and energy, how they relate to each other, why you might lose energy when starting keto, the different reasons, the root causes, and what we can do about it, as usual. And also, please send me your questions in advance. I would love to do that so I can prepare really good on them and give you some great answers. Thank you so much, ladies, for watching and joining me here today. And again, you can email me, vivica@thenourishedcaveman.com, Instagram, The Nourished Caveman, the blog, and the Facebook page, and on YouTube. And now I have a question. Yes, a question. Okay, let's see. Thanks for the information. Started symptoms at 35, took Mexican yam cream. I'm familiar with that. It's purple yam or Mexican yam or Peruvian. You also find that in Peru. It is an estrogenic supplement. Got rid of all the symptoms. Bioidentical at 56. I have no estrogen, hair loss related to menopause. Have you checked your thyroid, Iris? When was the last time you checked your thyroid? And I don't know if you're working with a practitioner now, but if you are working with a practitioner, did they check your saliva hormones? You say you have no estrogen, so you must have checked something. Did you check through the blood or the saliva? That's very important. Thank you, ladies, and let's see if Iris replies. Otherwise, Iris, you can reply under the video, and then I can reply by text, because I think we are, how long has this video gone, ladies? For a long time. Wait, yeah, we've been here almost an hour. So thank you so much for watching. Iris, continue posting under the video, and I will continue replying, and hopefully be able to give you thyroid low blood test for estrogen. So yes, I don't know what kind of practitioner you are working with. What I would do as a functional nutritionist, I do also functional endocrinology, I would definitely work on your thyroid, and I would like do the whole detoxing thing and support your adrenals, and eventually test as a saliva test. But at the beginning, once you have to do that preliminary work on the adrenals and liver, you don't need to spend a ton of money and keep testing. You know, I prefer to leave the testing for after that preliminary work is done, if you are still symptomatic. Because 9 out of 10, when you do that work on liver and adrenals, the symptoms do go away. And then eventually you should be able to get off the bioidenticals. Okay, I hope that helped. Thank you so much for watching, ladies, and I will see you next Thursday. Come and join me again. Bye-bye. 4 p.m. PST.